One of the biggest ways that landlords lose rental income is when a property sits vacant for a long time. Now, what we're going to discuss in this video is how we can make sure that your property is rent ready. Because when residents look at it, that's the first thing they're asking, am I able to move in? But before we do this, I want to encourage you to like this video and subscribe to our channel. We're always producing landlord-friendly content for people just like you. Let's talk about this because what we've noticed is when landlords reach out to us, if they've tried to rent the property themselves, they are frustrated, they're a little bit discouraged, they're thinking, why haven't I rented this property sooner? And then when we go out and look at the property, we bring back a list and say, here are several reasons why your property hasn't rented yet. Your property is not really rent ready. Let's talk about that because if you happen to rent your house by yourself, I just want to help you get a better understanding about what landlords should be looking at and definitely what residents are looking at when they're walking your property. So the first thing that we would encourage you to do is just to walk the property yourself as if you were a prospective resident, not that you're the landlord, right? Because when you're a landlord, you are mainly thinking about how quickly I can get the house rented, how much money I can get for the property, which are all very important, but you need to really look at it through the lens of a resident. They're coming in and probably the very first thing that they're thinking about is the property clean? Now, this is something you need to be very, very objective about. If you're very much a clean person, maybe you've had the property deep cleaned and it's spotless, then you're ahead of the game. I think that's fantastic. You just need to make sure that it stays this way because we know that vacant properties, if they sit for a while, they tend to collect dust. Sometimes we'll walk in and see bugs on the floor that need to be cleaned up. This is all about the first impression for the resident. When they walk in, they're thinking, is the property clean? Because this is an indication about how you're going to take care of them as a resident. If you're a landlord that has a spotless property when they walk in, they're automatically going to get a good feeling about you as their landlord. Now, the next thing we want to look at is you want to be very objective, really about two main surfaces, the walls and the flooring, right? So with the walls, you want to make sure, is everything painted? Are there no big scuffs on the walls? What about holes in the wall where you may have hung something? You want to make sure to the best of your ability that the walls are looking really, really good. They're free of scuffs and a lot of those things because that's going to detract from somebody really wanting to rent your property, especially if they have to come in and do work right away. That's not going to be good. The next thing you want to look at is just your flooring. Let's just say you have hardwoods. If they're worn out, that's probably not going to be great for a resident. Or if you have carpet that hasn't been cleaned or it's not new, if it's dirty, has spots in it, then this is going to be less attractive. And so one thing you need to be thinking about is, what about the competition down the street? If their house is clean, if their walls are clean, their flooring is good, then it's going to give you much stiffer competition, and more than likely somebody's going to rent that property before they rent yours. But the third thing we like to really determine is if the property is safe. Are there rails where there need to be rails? Is there any place where somebody could get hurt? You want to make sure that the property is safe. This is something that someone's going to be able to pick up on pretty quickly, especially if they're coming to rent your property and they have young kids, or maybe they're planning to have young kids, and they just want to make sure that everything is safe. This means if you have a fence in the backyard, does it lock properly? If you're used to it not locking and it's not that big of a deal to you, doesn't mean it's not going to be a big deal to the resident. The fourth thing that we think is very, very important that you do is to walk through the property and use everything that a resident would use. This means if you're providing a refrigerator, make sure the refrigerator is cold and works. If you have a dishwasher, make sure the dishwasher is in proper working condition. If you have a garbage disposal in the sink, make sure that it's working properly. Lock every key lock that you can just to make sure that everything is working properly. Not too long ago, I was walking through a property that we were about to put on the market. And so we were doing what we call a rent-ready walkthrough, where we just go back and check and make sure that, hey, this property's ready to rent. And I walked with one of our property managers through the property. There were two main things that we found. Number one, garbage disposal was not working the way it should have. And then in one of the bedrooms, this property manager turned on the light and a fuse popped in the light, and so there were sparks and a little bit of smoke. Well, this was a really big deal to find out before we put this house on the market. We got one of our techs out there, looked at it, made sure everything was perfectly safe, and rented the house fairly quickly. But these are just simple little things that you as a homeowner may not have done. I know me as a homeowner, I'm very used to having things in my house that don't work perfectly, but residents aren't like that. And so if they're walking through your property and checking everything and they see something doesn't work, they're more than likely just gonna go and find another property than they are to reach out to you and say, hey, can you fix this, before they lease the property. The fifth and last thing that we would encourage you to do is just to go through and replace anything that needs to be replaced. So this could be batteries and smoke detectors, this could be air filters, there in the property, because I can promise you residents are not going to change air filters like you do. Just go and make sure that everything that can be changed is changed and ready for somebody to come in and it work perfectly. The last thing I would say is I'm holding in my hand right here a rent ready checklist. So these are all the things that we walk through and look at in a property when we're renting it. If you would like this page, if you would like this document for your own property, then feel free to visit our website, evernest.co/rent-ready. And you can download this PDF. It'll be free there for you. You can use it for your own rental house. But if you'd like for us to help you with the management of your property, or if you would just like to have a free consultation and talk about what it means for Evernest to help you with your rental, then reach out to us. Email us at sales@evernest.co, and one of our local professionals will make sure to reach out with you and just walk you through the entire process. So that's it for this video. If you haven't already, we would love for you to like the video and then subscribe to our channel, and we'll be back with more landlord-friendly real estate videos.